All right, awesome. So we are now streaming live on Facebook. So thank you everybody for coming. This is off the record Airtable Secrets and Lore week something, I think it's like 27, 28. We are a group of Airtable users exploring new ways to use Airtable to optimize our businesses and lives. And we're open to hearing from anyone about your experience, good or bad, using Airtable to make a positive impact in the world. We attempt to promote people coming from any level to share their ideas or ask questions, and we also share our experiences, tips, and practices, and offer ways to get help and get involved in the community. We meet every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And so to kick things off, typically we go through new things or things that are new in the Airtable universe. This week, it sounds like we've got some stuff with Bubble, some new stuff with group rules in the Airtable community, and automations, from what I remember. So to kick us off, it might be good to start with a plug for the Airtable community and then go through those group rules. So the Airtable community, I'll try to share my screen here. So if you're watching this live, obviously you're in the Airtable community, but you can join the Airtable community if you're not. You can check out our group rules. So hopefully you guys can see Airtable community now. This is the group, and somewhere Chris and I met earlier this week and we added some rules just based on some feedback from the community.
Go to about.
Group rules. Here we go. Group rule 1, be kind and courteous. All in this together to create a welcoming environment. Treat everyone with respect. Healthy debates are natural, but kindness is required. Then the second one is limited promotions or spam. So this one is basically just the law of reciprocity. It's basically saying if you want to support your own business, then come and support the group and participate, answer questions, help others, perhaps before you do a promo post to pump your blog or pump your list or something like that. Does that kind of capture the 2 rules?
That was it. We thought about doing more, but I was like, well, that's really kind of it. I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups. By the way, I'm not a big fan of Facebook groups, but it is what it is. And yeah, I just thought, I've always been real sensitive to the, I guess, what do they call it? Content marketing. Should we approve someone while we're in here? But I've always been sensitive to content marketing because I feel like, people just do too much of it. But I thought it was really important that people consider if they're going to come in and talk about their business or share their, latest whatever, that maybe you should occasionally come in and check. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to share the screen. One of the things you can do if you're a group member and you kind of want to lightly vet someone to kind of see what type of person there is, if you go to the actual group discussions and maybe you see someone you've never seen them before, like this Aaron guy, who knows who this is? I'm just kidding. But if you click on their link, you'll actually see all the posts they've put in there. So again, it's often really good idea before you interact with someone on the group, kind of like group etiquette 101, just check out that person, see what types of things they put in the group, find out that they speak the way you want to speak. Oftentimes you can learn a lot about someone's motives just by doing a little bit of a deeper dive into what type of people they are. So take Rebecca. You will always see Rebecca in the group literally answering questions. Rebecca is everyone's favorite help desk person. Just kidding, she's not help desk. But she really does function as a help desk. But so does Allie, other folks like that. I occasionally will try to put in some interesting thoughts I might have about this or that. And sometimes people like them, sometimes they don't. But with it being one of the largest Airtable groups anywhere on the web, I mean, you've got some member communities. Actually, Airtable has a very large one that's sanctioned by Airtable. But with over 4,000 people, we have a huge, huge group. So it's really important to me, and I think Ben, can I speak for you, Ben?
Yep.
That Rebecca, can I speak for you?
Of course.
That we try to think about what would be good? How could we keep this and make this even more welcoming? To that end, I actually had a post in there today about micro consulting. Did either one of you see this idea of micro consulting, Ben or Rebecca? What did you think when you saw? By the way, I didn't run that by you. I just kind of sprung it on you like a weasel coming out of the bushes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear feedback from everybody watching on their thoughts on micro consulting. But Chris, if you want to pull it up and share your post, I think it'd be great for like if I was to take myself back to my I would say like my first 30 days in Airtable, that's really when I could have gotten the most value out of something like micro consulting. Because it's like that's when I have like I'm fresh with these questions. I just like want them answered, and I go do my own thing. Then I come back, new set of questions, and it's just like kind of just a ever repeating process with the newbies who come in the group and ask their questions.
Well, and
Rebecca, what did you think?
somebody mentioned like a Reddit type functionality where you could award, essentially have a monetary award. And I think that that's really genius because there's been a lot of times, especially in the actual Airtable community forum where, Kuvan puts out something great or Camille, solves some complex issue or Ben gets snarky. I'm sorry, Bill French gets snarky with the state of Airtable, that I would love to just throw a little, some sort of monetary, hey, I liked what you said.
Is it similar to like buy me a coffee?
So yeah, I was thinking something like coffee or Reddit, and I do want to acknowledge, I don't know if this person watches our streams every week, Cynthia. I started to say Perez. It's not Perez. Thank gosh I didn't say that out loud. Pesantes. She said it would take away from the sense of community, and I totally understand where she's coming from. I was really thinking about this. Okay, so let's just think about Airtable and community and the world in 2021. It's real big. So you've got people who are like, hey, I need help. I want to hire a consultant. Ben has people come up to him. What, Ben, every day almost? You interview new customers? It should be. You're that good. I have had people who occasionally will say, Chris, I don't know if you do Airtable consulting, but I'd love some help. So, and I talk to those people. But then you've got below consulting. So people who come in and say, hey, I'm trying to solve this problem. I'm brand new. I've just joined Airtable. I love it. And there's like, and those people don't need consultants. Those people literally need friends. But I mean, I don't mean like they don't have friends, but I mean, they need that community to support them. But then somewhere between, like it's my first 30 days in Airtable and I need a $10,000 gig, I think there's a place for micro consulting. And I see a lot of people, I know I've seen Allie do it a bunch of times. I've seen Rebecca do it all the time, but I think it's because we're friends on Facebook, so I see her stuff algorithmically first. Ben, I know you do it. I think there's a place to really incentivize people from the group. Again, they have jobs. They're good people, like Kavan and Camille. They've got jobs. They're planners and consultants. But like when they answer someone, like reward them. So how I thought this would work was, so someone comes in and says, hey, I have a quick and easy question for hashtag micro consulting, because you can put like tags in the group, right? So people come in and give their answer, and the first person who solves the answer, they can just say hashtag solved. And then what we do is we send $5 or $10 to that micro consultant, or we just keep it in a bucket once a month and just do a payout that way or something. Maybe use Stripe payment links, maybe power the whole thing on Airtable, right? But just some way that if you're new to the community and you want to pitch into this communal bucket for hashtag micro consulting, and then we take that bucket and we pay it out to people who are active. I love the idea of community. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we need to monetize this community any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to find a way where really new people and really active participants who share their information could help each other stronger, faster, and be more rewarded. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's definitely something to that.
I know Gareth has a community. We've talked about it here before. I think it's $20 a month or something like that. Can someone jump out to Gareth's community and pull it up?
It's not on, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's the only one that can miss on. But yeah, but Gareth's community is $20 a month. So there are other people who have kind of these smaller kind of paid communities, probably where people help each other. But I just keep thinking there are lots of people that if I offered them 10 or 15 bucks for a quick answer, they would do it. And there's all these services that do, like, I was an advisor for something called 60 or something like that for a while. And basically you could buy 60 hours for Squarespace. And I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking of something like if there was like an intro post and whoever wanted to participate in it, or if it's like either this or a communal thing, but if you wanted to have like a Stripe payment link in there, whether it be like a membership or whatnot, you could have promotions in there for valued community members.
I'm all for people getting paid to answer questions and for giving people, hey, that was a great help, finding some way of, thanking them monetarily. I think that the devil is always in the details of how you manage it.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'd want to see play out. As far as like the micro consulting, one thing that I do is I have my appointment set up where if someone wants to book half an hour with me, they can go do that. And then
what's a half an hour with Kavan?
But the other thing is I'm also very active on the Airtable community forums that's sponsored by Airtable. And I answer a lot of questions for there simply because I find it's an interesting question. One reason why I tend to answer more questions on the Airtable official forums versus the Facebook one is it's a much richer environment. It's easier to go in and post, like code samples and things like that.
See, that's what you just said, people can book a half an hour with you. What I'm trying to do is, I think there's a general idea, and maybe this is discussed openly on the Airtable community. I've tried the Airtable community. I tried it years ago when I first got into Airtable. It scared me. It felt misogynistic. It felt cold. It felt scary. I didn't like it. That's just me. I'm sure other people have a wonderful experience with it. But for me, I think most people getting started with Airtable don't realize that when they ask a question, they're probably going to get an answer, which is a good thing. Or if they say, I need some help, they're going to get pitched. And pitched isn't a $200 pitch. Pitch is often thousands of dollars. And I don't know many consultants that are selling a half an hour of, sell me give me your best, best questions. Kavan, are you like doing anything like that where people can just buy a half an hour of one-offs with you?
Oh, really? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's in my profile, the Airtable community forums, where it goes through Calendly. You pick your half hour. I show up, and we usually do a screen share. I've experimented with a little bit, and I find that half hour is kind of the sweet spot because it usually takes a few minutes just to explain, what the question is. Like I've had other things where like
what is a half an hour with Kavan run these days?
It's $45.
Okay. So we just need to just literally pimp out your because I think for $45 bucks, I'll be honest with you, that's a good rate. What do we think, Ben?
That's what did Camille say? I've debated doing a weekend office hours live so people could ask me questions.
Again, yeah. Camille's tied up. She just said she's debated doing weekend office hours. Again, I would love to get, I hate to say it, but a live help desk, just once a week or something where people can come, whoever's running the help desk gets paid, and people can just pitch it. I don't know. To Kavan, I didn't know you were $45. I think that's amazing. I think I would use you.
I wanted to keep it affordable because I've looked at all the there are businesses where you said, you're talking about, a multi-$1,000 pitch, and that's what their niche is. And I don't want to manage $6,000 projects. I want to help the little guy, where you're a small business, you don't have a huge budget, but you just want help with this one extra little thing.
Yep.
And like I said, I found that you can't answer questions like that in 5-10 minutes because you can't even begin to understand the question when you're talking about something complicated. Like math tutoring, I've had it with my kids where they do, pay by the minute kind of thing. And, they see the math problem and then they know how to solve it. And then they can give you an explanation for that in, 5-10 minutes. Can't really do that with Airtable.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of startups try to solve this. I have a question. I think if you look at the thread I was referenced earlier, someone referenced a few of them. The challenge is you have to know those startups, right? And I think our community, and I'm sure the Airtable community too, there's already a user base there that could use the service. Like you already have something to take to those people. You know what I mean? We already know why they're there. And I think Camille's saying office hours. I know Marie Pullen, who I'm doing the Notion Airtable conference with in October, she has office hours. So yeah, just something to think about.
And so I test drove the Topia thing this week and just dropped in a template. It's like a brand new university template that they just added maybe within the week. And it's pretty cool. I'll drop the link again. I'm going to do it all over again. But I actually had people show up to this Topia. And so if you are new here, Topia is basically Zoom, but you build a little world.
It's a metaverse Zoom.
And so this week they added screen sharing.
Really?
Yes. So I'm super zoomed out. Hold on. Can't see anything.
That's fun.
And
I almost think someone should start like a program called First 30, where like people could basically just for a small fee get all their simple questions at the beginning of their Airtable answered. And by the way, I love Airtable support, but I don't know, sometimes it feels like it takes forever, and I just like, it's like everything else. I want it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's really something there with.
Did you get it, Rebecca?
A good place for people to start. And I think it takes a while, from my understanding, for people to know that they can go to like the community forum.
Mm. Yeah, and they've added that whole new help section in Airtable now too. Oh, Rebecca, that's nice. Now, is this your Airtable University?
yes. So, and I just came up with the quickest thing I could to throw some sort of branding on it, but it's just a simple little university layout, and it spawns right here in the middle. So I just put a table there so nobody has to try to figure out where I am or anything like that. But I actually had people show up. I met a guy from Australia named Gray, and we had a great chat. Kenny came for a while, but he had to dip out, and a few other people, a few just to check out Topia, and then a few people actually had questions, and we were able to solve some problems. So one idea I had with like this was to have like a spot for Kuvan or Camille or whoever to just come sit in here, and you can collect commissions. They have a whole integration with Stripe.
Oh, they do. Topia has a Stripe integration now?
I don't know exactly how it all works and stuff, but you like sign up to receive the commissions, and you essentially build like one of those little sub stores in their Stripe store.
Sounds like a community whereby. Has anybody ever used whereby?
No, I don't.
I remember whereby from a long time ago. My gosh. I can't picture it in my head.
It's kind of like Zoom.
Yeah, because the you know why I'm thinking of it is their logo looks very antiquated. Looks like something from the 1800s. That's why I know it. Yeah. So that's cool. Rebecca, I love the idea of this. I'd love to find some way to get more people involved in that. Oh, well, it sounds like we have, Rebecca's put the link in the chat, which will be if you're watching the video. It's strange that, Ben, when you post these videos to YouTube, the links that we mention in the chat don't go over, but it is what it is.
I can post it on the comments of the video afterwards.
Cool.
I was gonna say I need a better video person than myself.
And then Ben, did you get your light set up ready for this week?
No, I'll just change them on my phone, or I can mute myself and tell Alexa to do it.
And then the other thing I wanted to chat about, I don't know if I've seen if this is, I didn't put it on Reddit, I just put it in Facebook, and I shared it on Twitter, and people seem to like it on Twitter. Bubble. So everybody, and by the way, I love Vice News, not like just the brand, but the title of this article. A tech startup literally called Bubble faces $100 million. I mean, they can't. It's kind of, just, it's almost tragic. It's true, but for those of you who don't know, Bubble has been around for some time. Bubble kind of bills itself as a no code tool. So Airtable, for those of you who are new in the world, consider itself a no code tool. But Bubble literally looks and functions a lot like an app. Bubble last year had I think one of the first integration points with Airtable. It was beta at the time. I think it might be out of beta now. And it allowed you to use Airtable as your backend, but basically build these great workflows. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, put a nice GUI on the front end of it. Unless you're Kuvan or Camille, you kind of need this type of help. And you could build these just really fun looking, robust applications. Cool, right? What was interesting though is last year, right after they announced their beta integration with Airtable, they came out and actually built in kind of their own database backend. As soon as they did that, their pricing went, it was very similar, but it jumped up a little bit. So now you can see here that basically it's like Stacker or Softr or Pori if everything was all in one, for those of you who are familiar with those products. You can see now they basically said, hey, you've got server, you've got application editors, you've got development versions, about $115 a month. Now, most of us are spending probably close to the professional version for Airtable. Most people are probably spending about $24 a month. But for that, you're getting a domain, you're getting email, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's really interesting when you think about it. So let's get back to the news. So the news is they got $100 million. Now, why is this interesting?
I have a client who uses Bubble and talked about their back end, and he uses Airtable now for the back end, which is how we got connected.
Yep.
But he said the back end that they built is not very user friendly whatsoever. It's much more. It's like how Airtable is really meant for a back end, and you can use and stuff. It's like Bubble really meant for a front end, and their back end is kind of crap.
Absolutely, and that's some of the challenges I've had with Stacker, and even Softr, as of just a month ago, is it looks really great, looks like it's going to work, but again, you put any type of load on it, it just falls apart. Why I think this Bubble story is super important is Bubble got now we know Airtable raised a bunch of money. I can't remember what their last round was. We know they're up billions of dollars as their valuation now. But if Bubble raised 100 million and they're all front end, and Airtable has raised millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions, and they're all back end, we're about to see a race, a big race. And we had some, I think, predictions earlier in the year about what things could look like by the end of this year. I'm calling it now, I'm pulling forward my prediction that an Airtable front end will be out by the end of the year.
Now we go back to our 10 predictions episode. I think we also had a similar conclusion there.
So when you say a front end, I mean, Airtable already has its own front end. I actually think of Airtable more as front end than back end. Well, you're talking about the ability to make a custom front end.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about a portal?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. And Camille wrote Bubble's backend is a literal database. Agreed. Not meant for usability, relies on building a front end to counteract that. And for those of you who are watching the video on YouTube, not on the Facebook, Camille's she's with us, but she's a ghost version, like a Force Ghost, and she's texting or putting chats in. You're good. I just didn't want you to feel like you're not here because you're here. So Kavan, I completely agree with you. But I think for the typical Airtable customer, someone who might not even know the term no code, but loves Airtable because it looks like their favorite spreadsheet, I think they would look at Bubble and go, oh, that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was super usable that I can interact with on the web. Whereas when I say an Airtable front end, I think for the Airtable right now feels a little bit lacking in that department. So that you need a Softr or you need a Stacker or a Pori on Airtable. Come on, what would you call Softr, Airtable? I'm sorry, Softr, Stacker, and Pori. Come on, so I use your word.
Okay, so I mean, for Stacker, I think of that as mostly serving as a portal where people come in and they log in and they interact it without actually being direct Airtable customers. For more of Softr, I see more that as a publishing tool where you're not so much the primary interaction is not in what you're saying, it's more people are taking there and they're consuming the data, they're using it and looking at it, but they're not going in and doing all of the editing that you would do in a full front end.
I think the distinction is probably public facing versus private facing, if that makes sense.
Okay, Camille, I think between Kavan and Camille, we have it. So public facing, so I should say, I think by the end of the year, Airtable will end up with a better public facing front end. Because right now all we have is web forms.
And public, right? and shared views. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but the difference between shared views and web forms feels like the difference between a salad and a Big Mac. It's just like, I want something, the fact that I can put a constraint on a web form, but not on the actual tool itself, makes me want to burn my body hair off.
No, I mean, Airtable is not, they put in just the minimum that they can in order to interact with the public, as far as, the minimal form that they could possibly have in order to say, yes, we can get data from a web form. They put in the minimal amount of effort in getting a shared view so that you can say, yes, we can put information on the internet, but neither of them are completely brand free. You can't completely white labelize any of them. And that's what people want, is they want to be able to white label the experience.
Yeah, because to me, if we, maybe Airtable's avoiding no code as a concept, but I think if you want to say something is no code, that's like, again, that's like selling a Whopper without a bun and saying you're a burger store. No, you're a meat store that calls yourself a burger store. Right now, Airtable's all meat, no bun. And at the end of the day, people want to put their teeth in both. That's just I don't know how else to describe it.
I feel like
that I see is I actually see there's a big split in some customers. A lot of customers, at least the ones that I see, that are only using Airtable internally. It's their small business, they're running their small business on it, and they're actually not interacting. They don't need something public facing.
And where I think, so now I'm going to pretend I'm Howie. By the way, I was just on the phone with someone who knows Howie really well, and apparently Howie knows we exist. But that's a whole nother story we can talk about later. I forgot to tell you, Ben. A VC in California knows Howie. And by the way, Scott, if you're watching, because now you know that we do this on Wednesday nights, tell Howie to get on the show. But if Airtable wants to actually break the barrier, and just keep raising money, they can do it one of two ways. They can keep getting new professional customers, new enterprise customers to do that. Or they could literally make something where companies could actually create apps that function like apps. And I think right now we're kind of stuck in that stepchild world.
I think that Airtable needs to solve its user permissions issues before they can do that.
I think that's it, because that's the limitation for shared views at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the permission thing is, I totally with you, because even like we've talked about this on the show, permissions on views, right? Or sections, like permissions on views. There's so many places permissions are missing, but like the whole permission model, and to go back, I know Devin's not here, but I'm gonna evoke the ghost of Devin. I think it all stems back to their pricing model is so broken that to do any of these things eloquently, they would sabotage their current revenue stream.
I think we'll definitely see some change in the pricing before we see a front end.
You think?
I think there has to be.
Well, they've already said that they were going to adjust the pricing model. So
there's an informative.
Yeah, that we know is changing in some capacity. So once we know what the new one is, we could probably chart how likely the changes in permissions would be.
And the other thing is, when you talk about building your own front end, there's two different types of front ends that you can have. One is a front end on a website, like what you would see with Stacker or many extensions or Poirier software. The other thing is having a custom front end that you see within the user interface of Airtable itself, where you'd be a logged in user, maybe even a read-only user or something like that, and then you can interact with it. So I think that's two totally different types of front ends that they could potentially be looking into.
Yeah. I just think if I were running Airtable for a week, I would put every single developer on the case so that if I was an enterprise customer and I wanted to build and deploy internal or external fully functioning web apps, because I wanted to grow my enterprise, that's like the first thing I would do. But come on, you're right. I have no, and Camille, I can't remember who said it. I have no visibility into how bad the permission model is behind the curtain. You know, you might be actually, your burgers might be half soy. I wouldn't know. It looks like meat to me. I just know I want a bun. Am I doing too much with the burger analogy?
Yeah.
Am I beating it?
I will say, I know that Airtable takes security really, really seriously, and that they take it to in some ways into extremes, you know. Like the idea is if you have access to the data at all, then they recognize that you have access to the data, even if it might be kind of inconvenient to get it. So they want to make sure that they have everything locked down completely before they actually say it's locked down.
Well, and on the security note, that's also my vote for having my front end be through Airtable, because I do trust their security. You know, it was vetted through IT. It went through a whole process. They wouldn't have let me put my data somewhere. I mean, we're conscious with what we put in there, but equally, you know, then I put a third party front end on it and I don't know what's happening at that point. I would much rather have that same front end be on Airtable. And to me, if I can build a form in Airtable, I should be able to build some sort of front end.
I mean, just to be able to force my own lazy butt to require some fields when I'm in the actual tool and not in the web form. I mean, what act of holy contrition does it take to, I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, I remember once I put in the forums or one of the groups a long time ago, is there any way that I can actually lock down a view? Because you always have that, you can't do this. Do you want to unlock the view? And I always unlock it and then mess it up and then I screw it up. So I've finally gotten better with like, now when I unlock views, I put in like notes like you will burn, your mother's in hell cooking right now if you do this. So I do all these threatening things because I just will always say, no, I'll remember to relock, and I never do. Right. And someone's like, well, I remember someone's post to me was like, well, do you have no self-control? And I felt seen. Right, because you're right.
Have your husband lock them and just have the password that you don't.
Yeah, and I could imagine like you know, BDSM Airtable, like, you know, it's some type of Airtable chastity belt that I have to wear. Yeah. But you all know what I'm talking about. You all have been there. Your bald unlocked that view and said you'd put it back and you didn't. And then your lookups don't work. You all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I would unlock them so much that I just don't even bother locking them to begin with anymore.
It's like 7-Eleven. Why do they have locks on the doors? They're 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. My parents own a 7-Eleven. Something else I wanted to point out to you guys. You guys know my love for the Miro.
Mm-hmm.
But Miro put this out last week. Forgot to mention it to you guys. 3 digital tools every design consultant needs, and they are Miro, Airtable, and Notion. Almost as if somebody is thinking there's like a stack, like some type of stack you need every time you build something. It's almost like you would need Miro, Airtable, and like a front end. Like, you know what I'm saying? Something daring. Oh, well.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
So I'm such a jerk.
Well, maybe they watch the show.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Oh, I know Miro does. Don't get me started. Miro stole my emotion board. It still makes me angry. You guys know I have an emotion board, right?
Mm-hmm. How'd they steal it? Did they use it in marketing?
Oh. They went ahead and took my family's motion board, emotion board, the one we do where we once a week we sit down and we do emotion, and they created a whole blog and talked about how teams can use this emotion board. Literally, copied the board and didn't even, I'm not the one who likes recognition. I know you find that hard to believe, but they literally lifted this board and created this whole thing called "See how your team can meet more, more transparently." Now I'm like, no, you didn't. I've been putting this on Twitter for 2 years, and you're just going to lift this and act like you've never seen it before.
Oh no.
Oh yes, you know that TikTok song? He wanted to. Oh no. Oh no. The minute I saw that tweet go out from them, like, look at I thought, oh no. Because I'm not gonna lie, I will cut some sass. I will cut a sass. I got scissors right here.
You have their article? I want to find their article.
Yeah, I can find it. Someone talk, I'll find it.
So my brain is currently stuck on your comment about how he knows about the show.
Of course he does.
What did your VC friend say?
We were talking about he's a VC in Silicon Valley. I can't say the name. I'll just say the VC starts with an N, very large VC. He knew Howie back from his days when he was at Salesforce. Not Howie, but this person at Salesforce. And it was just casual conversation. It was nothing really that interesting.
Did Howie say anything interesting, or do we have to wait till after the call to?
No, just they're very aware of how big their community is. They know, what's going on, who's saying what, just they got to remember the guy's very, very, very busy. When I asked him, my friend, I said, so what's the scoop here? Do they get acquired, or do they go big or go home? Silicon Valley, at least the VCs are all betting they go public within a year, which would be really great because that money would change everything.
That would be very exciting. Maybe they'd invest in a front end.
No, you didn't. I am looking up the Miro mood right now. I think it was mood or feelings. I'm trying to remember.
Kuvan, we had somebody ask for your link in the chat. I dropped it for him.
Oh,
well, thank you.
Yeah. Kavam would be the link to get $45. Kavam, that's really good.
So, well, one thing is I really don't do any advertising. It's just there. One thing I do like about being able to answer questions just on the regular community is I can pick and choose which ones I want. But sometimes people, they want a little bit more privacy. They don't want to share, with the actual screen captures of the stuff. And so it works.
What does it mean to be sponsored by Airtable? Come
on. I wouldn't know. I'm not sponsored by them.
Oh, I thought you said you were sponsored on their forum.
No, I'm not sponsored on the forum. I have my link in my profile.
Gotcha. Would you like to screen share and show people how they can find it if they're watching this afterwards?
Yeah, I'm not really set up for a screen share today. I'm going back and forth.
How about all share?
I still have it up if.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to show people how to get to that, if they're watching the video. Kuvan, your week's about to be booked.
Does Kuvan consent to this? I didn't consider that beforehand.
That's fine. I mean, the way I have it set up is Calendly is awesome. I love Calendly. It will make sure that I don't ever get double booked, and it will also it puts a limit on how many appointments I have in a particular day. So that works for me.
Okay, so
that's my website.
One main way you can get to this part is just going through the apps, add an app, find one of Kuvan's apps, and there's a couple links over there that get you here. And then
I guess the difference is when I think Airtable Community Forums, I usually think the official Airtable discourse forums, as opposed to the Facebook. if you go to community.airtable.com.
Yeah, I can show this one. So if I'm here,
Yeah. And did you see those two new betas for two different syncs?
No.
Zendesk and Outlook. They announced it like a couple hours ago.
I was just there.
breaking news.
That was not there when I was there at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I said it was an hour to 2 hours ago.
So if you go to community.airtable.com, search Kavan.
And then underneath is book an appointment. Just below that, there. I'm at 256 solutions now.
And you can, this is a good place to search as well. A lot of times when I'm searching stuff on Google, it will come up with articles from here.
It's strange how they can make this web front end work.
Well, and I was just thinking like the creator profiles concept that we talked about before.
That the forums, that's not built by Airtable. That's built by Discourse.
I was being a jackass.
But there's so many things that they can do there, and we're like, why can't they? It's because it's a totally
I don't know.
different
This looks
company.
familiar. Looks familiar. Looks familiar. Looks familiar.
I saw another one that looked similar to, it was like when you drag.
No, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I love about being me is I have birthed a million careers without blinking an eye.
The greatest, what is it they say? The imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
It's just, I don't mind. I mean, people have been imitating stuff I do for the longest time. I don't mind that. I love that, to be honest with you. I don't even care. I don't even think it's imitation. I think everybody borrows everything else. But what I really get frustrated about is a lot of the stuff I've worked on, I think specifically around neurodiversity and working with your feelings and being much more transparent online. Like, that took a lot of bravery on my part. Like to talk about depression or OCD or neurodiversity or any of these things that I've kind of talked about so openly in so many forums. And I think it feels a little disingenuous and cheap when I see people build these things. I'm telling you right now, the first Airtable, you know, and I see so many bases that look like mine, right? You know, that have the types of things I love in them. And it's just like, I don't know, I just wish people were to like don't copy it and exploit it to say like, look at what you did, but copy it and say, talk about how it helped you. Like this feeling thing, I think it would have been great if they would have done this and said, we use this on our team and show us like some other things their team like feels, right? But just to show it and act like, you know, all of a sudden you woke up one day with a certain amount of compassion, that's bull. You woke up one day and thought, how can you exploit a bunch of people into thinking you're more touchy feeling than you actually are? That's exploitive. So that's where I just draw the line. And then today, so if you guys don't know, this is literally, if you want to live in my neighborhood, this is what you need to have. Right? These are all the rules if you want to live. Yeah. So today, somebody in my neighborhood was having a problem. Of course, you know what I did? I took them out to my base, where in the base, I actually used AI to have all of these things read, right? So you didn't even have to like, because there was no way to, you know, you don't literally have to read these. There's no way to search these. These PDFs are sometimes 30, 40 years old. And I dumped all the text. You can see here, it's not very pretty. I'll show you that. It's like pretty ugly. But what's really nice is if you come in here now and just do a filter on here for Yard, it's going to show you all the rules that Yard is in. So I got to pull this rabbit out of my hat earlier today and became a neighborhood hero for some new neighbor. Kids don't ever move into an HOA.
Do you ever use like the actual search functionality? Like the little search icon?
Control F.
Well, yeah, it opens the same thing.
Yeah, I've never done that because to me, it seems really slow. Just like I love the base search that's in the apps, but my gosh, what did they put in that thing? A turtle? Is there some little animal running like on a treadmill to make that search work?
In what?
You know, the search app in the apps?
I'm not a big app person personally.
You guys haven't talked about search.
Yeah. So there's a search app, and then there's also just the little search in the interface itself. So
yeah, the search in the interface just shows it's just searching what's on the.
Yeah, it just shows searches the view, the current view.
Yeah. And the search app basically does a whole lot more.
And that's the slow one.
Oh my gosh, it is so slow. Let me see if I can get into my Airtable for a second. The one I have to be so careful because I'm always showing all my credit card information. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Everybody give my channel some watch time and watch all the past videos.
It's
So
so
they'll have
bad.
everything that they need to do in order to impersonate you.
It really is. So you can see that this thing's just taking forever. Like, okay, here's Airtable at its best. What is going on here?
This is why Airtable can't have a front end.
Yeah, this is why Airtable can't have a front end.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Okay. Well, yeah, if I don't know, does anyone use the search app or is it just me? Rebecca, do you use it?
Yeah, I use it all the time, and I will embed search apps into other bases so that I don't have to like have those records in that base and stuff like that.
And I wish, you know how you can search for a view and it'll show you, like if you say find view and you put the name in, it'll show you a view on another table. I wish the apps had that, so you could search across dashboards. Anyone?
I don't know.
Bueller?
Or apps.
You mean you want to be able to search for an app in a dashboard without having to just scroll and find it?
Yeah, so for example, if I come into my Airtable, like I can come over here and say utility. And it'll show me if I want to find utilities, I have to go to this view in another table. I want something over here where I just say search for the search app instead of saying which app do I have in what dashboard.
Sounds super useful. Make a suggestion and then hope that it doesn't go into the
No one
usual-
listens to my suggestions. They copy them and then act like they know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be super useful.
By the way, guys, I've been working on the United States. I've been building an Airtable. This is the diagram that I was using to build my Airtable on the United States. But if you've ever wondered how it all works.
How the government works, the Constitution.
Yeah, that's my latest project. I'm gonna bring up the United States government in Airtable.
If Howie's watching this, he can make the note for the product team. Add that search.
He'd be like, he'd be like this. He'd be like,
The other search functionality I wish that they had was when you are dealing with a lot of fields and hiding and unhiding, you could search by field type. So I could look at just all the attachment fields or all of the checkbox fields or anything like that.
That would be.
Do any sort of keyword search like that.
yeah.
That's what I absolutely wish I do when, as a consultant, is a client will say, here's my base, and they'll say, this is my field, and I'm like, or they'll know something, and they'll have the name not quite right or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, it's an attachment field, but you don't know the name of it. If we could just search by attachment and then see which one, that would be so helpful.
Yeah. And how about searching within attachments? Like you wrote a Word document or a PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they had more built-in like PDF tools or some way that you could like buy the PDF editor package or something and do very, very basic editing in there, but I know that would probably be insane.
I'll tell you one thing. I get really stressed out whenever I see that box dialogue. They store their stuff in box. And okay, this is gonna be 30 minutes. I can go have lunch waiting for this attachment to load.
So, Rebecca, you had mentioned something about automations being new this week.
Oh yeah, so the automation, schedule and automation trigger.
Oh, yeah, I think
time.
Show that to us.
Sure. Hold on, just
Bring her up. I love your new space, by the way.
Thank you. I'm very excited to have my first space. Here we go.
You have beautiful artwork.
Oh, that's actually my husband's artwork.
I think I'm friends with your husband by accident on Facebook. Do you know if I am?
He actually the other day was like, hey, that Chris guy you work with friended me on Facebook.
So first off, I didn't, but like I get all these friend requests. I'm always just ignoring them. And I got like one and I thought I hit hide or go away. And I ended up becoming his friend. And I felt awkward because I don't proactively friend people. I actually think it feels weird. Okay, this is nice. Show me how this works.
Just building an automation using the add a scheduled time trigger. Now under interval type, first of all, they changed this whole UI back. They played with some other funny little drop downs and things, but I'm glad that it's a little more streamlined.
Zoom in a little bit for the people.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, some of us are over 50.
So now you just have a few more options. Is that better?
Yeah. You could go a little bit more, but yeah, that's much better. There you go.
Oh, I have a screen. It's all right. So you just had, I think, minutes and hours and weeks. Minutes and hours came first, and I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to use this for. Then weeks came a little bit later. Again, kind of one of those, I don't really know what I'm going to use this for things. Tried to do some monthly triggers with it, and it was like every 4 weeks is not necessarily a month. And so now we have days, months, and one-time triggers. And so in days, everybody's familiar with this. And you can specify a start date, which is really nice. Excuse the tablet music in the background.
You see it, Chris?
But this one-time trigger is like really awesome for me. This kind of, not that I was using Zapier before, but if I was using Zapier, this functionality being added would have killed that for me. I would have taken that.
Give me an example of how you would use one time.
So literally just
except not a Britney reference, because if you say "hit me, baby," I'm just going to be like, "Come on, guys, too soon."
We have a lot of things that might like say paying the executive's mother's rent, or like things like that that might only happen one time, or say permits for the airplane, or things like that that have to be done by a specific time. They expire on a specific day at a specific time, and they are no longer valid after that. This makes it to where I can pull in those records. It kind of doesn't really make sense without knowing how my
I think you just solved a problem of mine. But didn't someone tell me there's a limit to the number of automations you can have in Airtable?
25.
Yeah. So remember, guys, I had that problem in my my Magic database where I want to have it tweet out when the season changes or when the moon changes. Like at least with one time, I could actually hard code in the moon changes and the season changes. That would get me, that's 4 season changes, but there are a lot of moon changes. Shame.
If you want moon changes, you should have a table that lists what the changes are, and then have an automation that says, when meets conditions.
Aren't the moons like
days?
Like every 28 days? Question mark.
Come on, I might call you up for $45. No, so I've got a table that has all of the moon cycles, everything that happens in it. And right now, every day, my Airtable tweets out that day. Mm-hmm. So this is all the information about the day. I'll show you. It's pretty straightforward.
Chris, do you remember I gave you a solution to this?
No, I thought you couldn't think of one.
Okay. Well, I came up
with
it.
And we did give.
It just requires another table with a record that gets updated every single day.
Yeah, so this comes out every day. It comes out, it shows you the day, shows you where you're at, everything. It is all coming from this Airtable that has, a decade's worth of sunrise, sunset, and everything else in it, etc. So all the information is coming from this almanac table. This almanac table has the moon phases, the pagan sabbats, the planetary seasons, astrological events, retrogrades, zodiac signs, precessional rotations. Now, this only happens once every 10,000 years. I'm not worried about getting those shared. Like I've shared those manually. Hopefully we won't be. But on this table, what I want to do is whenever something happens, like we go from one season to another. So if we go back here, you can see like the moon changes here to waxing gibbous. We're in the season of Yule. Now we're in the season of Imbolc. Now we're in winter, but now we're in spring. So when it changes, I actually want to send out a different attachment. So if we go back to the almanac and we go into the Sabbats, actually I have to look at something else. You'll see there are these attachments that explain what that season means. So on Twitter, I actually wanted to say whenever Airtable reaches one of these things change, this retrograde or astrological sign, share out whatever the associated infographic is for that change.
So when you're saying when it changes, you mean when it's different from the previous record?
Yes, when it's different from the previous record, and again, I can do for automation. So it's just whenever, because again, most of the things are the same for a while, then they change, right? So everyone understands winter, spring. Like on the spring, whatever the spring, and only that one day, not the next one and the next one, but it's spring. So now pull information out of the spring record and tweet it.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So it's mostly a question of how are you going to link that information and how does it know that it's the first day of spring?
And yeah, so it knows because the day before it was winter.
Well, no, it doesn't know that because one record doesn't know anything about the record before or after.
Right. So what I want to say is, so right now, like I have a record that says, I just have a view that says show me today, and it's just today with the today's information in there. So that's good. I can tweet that out. Mm-hmm. But what I want to say is look at the record before this record. If the season field is different than this record, grab the attachment and share it. Do something with it.
Are your records linked?
No. One record is not linked to the record before it.
That would be the most straightforward way, is link to it and say, what's my previous day? Have a lookup of the season of the previous one and a formula field that says whether or not they're the same.
Yeah, I could do something with scripting 100%. I was just trying to find an easy way. Ben, what was your solution?
Oh, no, that's not scripting.
Okay.
That's just formula fields and rollups.
I can write you formula, Chris.
Okay. Maybe we'll get it working because it'd be nice. I have all these great graphics that I've created for this, and a lot of people, they want to know, like, oh, it's spring, it's a full moon, it's we're now in Aries. What does that mean? I mean, that's
my solution there was to have a new table and have duplicate records for like duplicate fields, like one for the past days, season, moon cycle. I don't know what all the categories are, but for each one of those, have one for the past day and then the current day. And before it tweets out, have it add the current day information in there. And if it's different than the previous day, you can just use a formula. And if it's different than the previous day, which you can just do in that same record, then include whichever attachment. But if it's not, then don't. And then after it tweets, then update the previous day information in that same record every single time with that current day's information. And then that just repeats every single day.
I like it. I'll tell you something else I did on the spiritual base that I absolutely love. I finally broke down and linked it to my Airtable base. So now if there's someone in here that I want to link as like particularly important to that day, I can come in here and grab them. And now they're actually in doing the external table view, which was super nice. So now I can show people who impacted me based on moon cycle or zodiac sign or length of day, etc. I kind of hesitated because I didn't want those two tables to meet, but it's really created these new interesting charts I can show because I don't link everybody I talk to every day. I do that in my Airtable, like our meetings and things. But in this one, when I'm like reflecting on the day and like who really made my day, being able to pull from that contact database over in the Airtable was just so much fun. Sorry to end on such a weird esoteric note.
Are any of the charts ones that you can share? or like the apps, I'm guessing.
I don't have enough data there, so they're not really cool. Because the other thing I'm doing is when I link to someone, I'm pulling over their zodiac sign and their age, so I can see, do millennials, Gen Xers, or boomers piss me off? Because also remember, my moods are in here.
Yeah.
So I have this project I'm trying to work on for next year, or maybe even for the conference, where I can actually quantify the types of people I want to be around. And when people actually want to be my friend, they fill out a form on Facebook and they put some information in there, and Airtable makes a determination on whether it's going to work or not.
It's pretty cool.
Right?
I like that.
Hey, look at
Hey.
baby! That's baby!
Rebecca,
Oh,
who's
right.
this cutie?
This is Ray. This is my son. He's 2.
Hi, Ray.
Can you say hi?
My
Hi,
mini-
Ray! Hi, Ray! I wish I had
He's a
something.
little shy. He actually has autism too. So
Look, Ray, I have Legos. Ray, look, Legos.
look, a tree.
Legos.
Tree. Can you spell tree? T. T R E. Tree.
Tree.
That's his thing right now. He's learning how to spell everything.
Right.
I will spell that. F-A-F.
Does anybody have anything else to bring up? for
Ray, do you have anything?
this great tool?
Richie did.
Ray, what happened on Airtable this week?
You couldn't tell him what happened on Airtable?
What do you think about Bubble, Ray? Give us your honest opinion.
What
See, I knew it. Bubble is a hit.
up?
Bubble!
Oh, oh,
Can you say bye-bye?
oh.
Bye-bye, Ray. Cute. No, I don't have any more news. Hopefully we'll get Kavan back next week. I'm sorry, Camille back next week. Kavan, thank you for coming this week again.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Especially now if it starts making Kavan bank every week. She might come back more and more.
Right? I'm actually going to book time with Kavan. I swear I am.
I'm waiting for Airtable to finish doing the QA on my latest custom app. Then I'll have something to share.
How long is it taking? How long is it taking to get apps through approval at Airtable?
I don't know what anyone else has, but I've had, I have 4 published apps. I've got 1 more submitted, so it's the 5th one. Some of them, it takes like a couple months to get through.
Wow.
And then another one, once I submitted 2 of them at the same time, and one of them actually got published before I even realized they were reviewing it. So I think they have a lot of people, and a lot of it depends on the complexity of the app, how much code is there for them to actually sift through to see what it's like. So
Months is
really
a long
varies.
time.
Yeah. But it's been all over the board.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming this week. I think we're gonna end it here, but we'll be back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So come into the Airtable Community Facebook group and you can join us live. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Ray.